Who would you contact if a crime happened in Rome? There were no police or gendarmes, but there existed a secret group called the Praetorian Guard. They were more than just the emperor's bodyguards. They were also the first police force, Secret Service, FBI, and CIA in Rome. But who would stop them from killing the emperor they were supposed to be protecting? January 24th, AD 41. There was blood in the Palatine Palace. People were screaming, and most importantly, there was a dead emperor. 30 stab wounds killed Emperor Caligula in the halls of his palace. Who killed them? The Praetorian Guard was intended to keep him safe. People yelled, "How could this happen? Who will keep us safe if the people who are supposed to protect us have turned into killers?" This question started one of the darkest times in Roman history. The Praetorian Guard wasn't merely the emperor's bodyguard. It was also the secret police of Rome. The story started when Augustus Caesar was in charge. When Augustus became the first emperor of Rome in 27 BC, he needed a special group of people to keep him safe. But this wouldn't simply be a defensive force. It would also be responsible for gathering information and keeping the peace. Augustus had told the Praetorian prefect Sejanus, "Rome is too big. I need to know what's going on in every corner. You will be my ears and eyes." So, the Praetorian Guard became the first established police force in Rome. They had to do the following. 1. Imperial protection. Their most famous job, 2. Criminal investigation, solving murders, thefts, and frauds. 3. Espionage, getting information on enemy agents and plotters. 4. Covert operations, following the emperor's secret directives. 5. Public control, keeping the peace and putting down riots. In AD 14, they had their first big case. The death of Germanicus, which was strange, shocked many in Rome. The general, who was youthful and well-liked, unexpectedly got sick and died in Syria. People thought he had been poisoned. Emperor Tiberius said, "Let the Praetorian Guard take care of this. I want to know the truth." Marcus Macro, the prefect, sent his best agents to work on the case. They employed current police methods, such getting witness statements, looking at physical evidence, and questioning suspects. 3 months of research revealed the truth. Piso, the governor of Syria, had poisoned Germanicus. "What proof do you have?" A hidden poison vial and Piso's letters were located in Germanicus's room. The Praetorian Guard are real detectives, the Romans remarked. They figure out every mystery. This victory made the Praetorian Guard look better. From then on, they looked into every big crime that happened in Rome. The Sejanus conspiracy, which was considerably greater, happened in 23 AD. The Praetorian prefect, Sejanus, was covertly aiming to become emperor. This time, though, the Praetorian Guard was both the one being investigated and the one doing the investigating. Tiberius, the emperor, had started to doubt Sejanus. But how could he look into it? Because Sejanus was the head of the Praetorian Guard. Tiberius came up with a clever plan. He discreetly used loyal Praetorians to look into Sejanus. The police were looking into the cops for the first time in history. For months, spies kept an eye on Sejanus. They listened in on his private meetings, read his letters, and found out who was backing him. It was just like a modern-day FBI operation. Tiberius arrested Sejanus after obtaining proof. The charges were treason, conspiracy, and planning to kill the emperor. Tiberius said in court, "You were the man I trusted, but you let me down." Sejanus was put to death, and those who supported him were sent away. The Praetorian Guard was cleaned out and put back together. The Praetorian Guard became considerably stronger after this event. They didn't just look into crimes anymore. They also stopped political plots. Caligula became emperor in 37 AD and gave the Praetorian Guard a new job, to regulate what people thought. Caligula wanted to know what the people were thinking. "Be my ears," Caligula said. "I want to know what people are saying about me." So, Praetorian operatives started working all throughout Rome. They discreetly listened in on conversations in bathhouses, pubs, and markets. This was the first mass surveillance effort in the ancient world. The Romans told each other to watch what you say. Praetorian ears are everywhere. Caligula could tell within minutes which senators were against him and which citizens were unhappy, since this technique worked so well. But Caligula finally became paranoid because of this power. He started to think that everyone was out to get him. The emperor is going crazy, the Praetorian Guard said to each other. He is now a threat. The Praetorian Guard was set up to safeguard Rome. But this is where the sad contradiction began. But to keep Rome safe, they had to assassinate the emperor. A plot was made in the year 41 AD. 6 men, led by Praetorian tribune Cassius Chaerea, made the decision to kill Caligula. Chaerea said, "This is not treason. This is saving the country." The strategy went into action on January 24th. The Praetorian Guard surrounded Caligula while he was viewing a play at the Palatine Palace. "Caesar," Chaerea continued, "we need to talk." The attack started when Caligula walked into the private hallway. He died from 30 stab wounds. His wife Caesonia and daughter Julia Drusilla were also killed. This murder changed the course of Roman history. The protectors had slain the person they were supposed to protect for the first time. But what happened next was even crazier. The Praetorian Guard had to pick a new emperor after Caligula died. They chose Claudius, who they found hidden in the palace. Tribune Gratus told Claudius, "You are now emperor." "But I don't want to," Claudius remarked in a shaky voice. "It doesn't matter what you want. We have picked you." So, the Praetorian Guard became the group who decided who would be emperor in Rome. This was the real end of the Roman Republic. The Praetorian Guard killed 3 other emperors in the years that followed: Galba, Otho, and Vitellius. They were no longer merely a police force. They were the ones who made kings. People wondered, who is in charge of Rome? Who are the emperors or the Praetorian Guard? The answer was obvious: the Praetorian Guard, because they were in charge of the police, the military, and the government. The most shocking thing happened in 193 AD. The Praetorian Guard placed the empire up for sale. They said, "The highest bidder will be emperor." Didius Julianus paid 25,000 denarii to become emperor. But it only lasted 66 days, because the army and the people didn't agree to this sale. This event caused a lot of trouble in Rome. This was because the empire had become a thing that people could buy and sell for money. Constantine got rid of the Praetorian Guard. Fully in 312 AD, he created a new defensive army called the Scali Palatin to take their place. "The Praetorian Guard exploited Rome instead of serving it," remarked Constantine. "They will now fade into history." So, the time of the Praetorian Guard came to an end. After 300 years, they were the first police force in Rome, but they were also the most deadly group in authority. The CIA, FBI, and MI6 are modern-day secret services that learned a lot from the Praetorian Guard, including how to be effective and how to keep control. The tale of the Praetorian Guard imparts this lesson: if you don't control it, power eats itself. Over time, an organization that was created to defend might become the biggest threat. The checks and balances system in today's democratic countries is a lesson learnt from the sad story of the Praetorian Guard. History has taught that no one should have complete authority, not the emperor, the police, or the army. How would you keep the Praetorian Guard's authority in check if you were in charge?